Welcome back to We Care a Lot. I'm half of the podcast, Mel.
And I'm the other half, Sam.
Hey, it's Wednesday again, or whatever day you're listening to.
Mm-hmm.
This one.
Happy you're here no matter the day.
What?
Happy you're here no matter the day.
Absolutely. So today's topic, man, I was just saying, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna say, but here we go.
You have exes, you've moved on.
Right.
You have something to say.
Right.
I will hope.
No, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I would hope.
I was like, I know you have, but let's confirm.
I think let's just say that there's an extent to which you don't get fully moved on in the sense that you carried trauma. Mm. But, you know, that's a whole other story of things.
Look, we can only hope with so much. We're on step one of the process.
Step one of no longer wanting to love them. Let's do that one.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's hard. I feel like I forget what it's like the first kind of like 2 months maybe of still really, maybe not that long. It depends, but like the first while where you're like, I still love them.
Yeah.
Like I have love for them today, me as a person right now.
I think that's not bad. More so, I think what I am meaning is like to be in love with them. I think loving them, whether they wronged, I think, you know, that might be difficult to hear depending on what happened. But like forgiveness and like loving from afar as like loving them as a person, totally fine. Do it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The part where you're kind of like, I wish they still loved me back and we could be together. Like that part where like, I wish they would just change this about them. Right. And then it'll all work out. And it's like, well, clearly.
Well, it's not the reality, girl.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. So yeah. I guess like the beginnings of it is like really going through.
You're in denial.
A denial phase, yeah.
Like, well, because you know before it's actually over. I think most people are like, this is hitting a point where we can't come back from it.
Yeah, I think that's like a shared experience for sure, that everyone kind of like feels that a relationship is seemingly done before it actually happens, and then something just like catapults it to like have an end, I guess, whether that's someone cheating or, you know, someone actually finally like having a breakthrough and being like, this is just not it.
This is not what I deserve.
Whether it's amicable or not, it's just whether like it happens to everyone at some point, whether like you're still trying to fight through those feelings of like, maybe I'm wrong. I think time will tell, and it'll just end up, unfortunately, like blowing up, in my opinion.
I think the denial phase is probably the worst. Because I feel like that's the first process of moving on, because you're like, no, but I still love that. Like, obviously it's actually moving on in the steps towards it, but like right before you're ready to move on, you're denying that it's time. Yeah. You're like, no. Like, we just love each other so much. This is just a hard patch, or they're gonna change. Counting on someone to change, I gotta say, is the worst thing you could ever do in any relationship, because people don't change for other people, and a lot of the times they don't change at all. So
if they don't want to change behavior for themselves, there's no fucking reason they're gonna change for you. Yeah. It's just not gonna happen. God. Yeah, and I think it's funny that like we're talking about the denial stage before, but I feel like there's also a denial stage after the breakup, like after the blow up.
Like, no, they're gonna run back to me.
It's like, am I sure that I don't want to be with them?
Because especially if they're toxic and contacting you.
Yeah. There's definitely that moment of like, did I make the right decision? And I think that one comes from like either comfort, whether like it's comfort in chaos or comfort in like
the person
being there. There's a lot that changes when you don't have this person in your fucking like routine every day or week or whatever it is. Like, I think it really changes like the perspective and the trajectory of your existence at that point. And so you have a moment of like, maybe I gotta go back. Let's run it back. Yeah.
I think also the biggest thing you can do is rely on your support system right when it happens. Yes. Whether it's like you're not ready to... The thing about not being ready to tell people in your life is because you're in denial.
You're in the denial phase.
Because you don't want people to know, because then it's real. And I get that is very real, but at the same time, you're going through it and you need the people who love you. And if they don't love you after finding out, and let's say you get back with that person, then they were never meant to be your support system. So like, don't hold on to the fear of being like, oh, did I tell them like that we broke up? It's like the third time we've broken up, and like, what if we get back together?
Like, are they gonna hate them? Whatever.
It's like, you're not giving your support system the full context to support you. Like, oh, we didn't know this is actually the 80th time you've broken up, not the second, or whatever, you know? Like, that shit always comes out. Once they're like, once your friend is like finally done, it'll be like, yeah, well, what I also didn't tell you.
These issues, this happened, they did this to me, and you're like,
where was I?
Why didn't you tell me?
Right.
And I think, like, yeah, that part is, it's hard to tell. First of all, if you're the fucking support system, love your friend through it all. Like, you know, especially, like, if they're going through these things and they're not telling anybody, like, that is going to only put them deeper into a situation that you don't want them to be. Like, instead, be a loving and supporting person that can comfort them through the decisions that they make. You don't have to. Being a support doesn't mean
you agree with all their choices.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with all their choices, all of their what did we say at the beach? You don't have to condone their actions, but you can support them. Mm-hmm. And if you feel some type of way where you'd feel like those two statements don't go together, I think you're very polarizing, and I think you should maybe, you know.
Yeah.
I think you're taking things too personally for yourself also. I think this is someone else's life, and they're going to do whatever they want at the end of the day.
I do think there's obviously, like, so many nuances to supporting your friends. Obviously, you don't want supporting them in ways where you think they'll be safe and happy. Right. As happy as they want to be, I guess. Because sometimes you're like, I know you could be happier, but we're not going to talk about that. But, like, safe. I think safety is, like, the number one thing. So if you feel like they're safe, then, like, not blindly supporting them, but just, like, understanding where they're coming from. Being like, dude, I get it. Like, I'm here for you. If anything ever goes fucking down, I'm still here for you. If you get back with them and something goes down again, like, whatever. I'm here for the cycle. If there is one, I just want you to be happy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I do think the first thing, if you're looking for steps to move on from your ex, if this is something that you're currently going through, the very first thing I did was rely on my friends. Like,
that's good.
Straight to friends and family. Tell them everything, vent, let it out. Obviously, if you have therapy to lean on, that's also perfect and amazing. But, like, you just need to be busy, honestly. Because the second that person, like, lets their foot in the door to whatever, gaslight you or confuse you or manipulate you, it's like, oh, well, then you start having all those doubts of like, oh my God, did I make the wrong decision? Or maybe they will change. They're telling me they're going to change, or this, and that, because they're regretting whatever they did or didn't do in the relationship. And now that you're gone, it's like more real. And I just feel like it's not a true representation of the person they're gonna actually be anyways.
Not at all.
So
for sure.
If you're solid in your decision that, like, that this person is not going to be for me in the near future at minimum, don't let them talk to you. I believe in no contact. Like, don't let them talk to you for at least 3 months. Least.
I feel like, and I know we've talked about, like, the concept of closure. Like, I don't think it's necessary. The no contact rule, I think, it literally should just be like a fucking staple.
It should be like an AI thing takes over our brains,
and it says, you know what,
blocked.
No,
you've been
blocked. Because there's no, even, like, let's say you're in this phase where you're like, but I still love them, you know, I still see some potential that, like, if things changed, whatever, you know, if that's what you're thinking, I still think the no contact thing is best, because then you're allowing space for the stuff that you want to happen. They need to figure it on their own. Yeah. You can't be there and help them literally, like, hold their hand and make them do it, because you've already tried, I'm sure, in your relationship, and it's just not going to work out. So the no contact, it's for you to allow them to fully, like, flourish on their own.
If that's what you want so bad, it's not by allowing them access to you to be like, hey, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna, or I promise.
Stop fucking saying it and just do it.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
No contact.
I definitely
is crazy.
It's fucking nuts. I have to say that I only did it with my last ex. That's the only
like a
time.
Block?
Like a
just fully where you were like done. Like if you contact me, I'm just not responding.
I don't remember if I blocked them. I don't think I did because I still had their number for a while and their number in my phone.
Hey, you can still have their number and it'd be blocked.
Yeah, but I think I don't have it blocked. Or maybe I do. That's a good question.
It's in your contacts, so it can still be blocked.
Yeah, I should check. But it was under cheater. I don't know. I think I just didn't answer because I don't think I remember. I'd be like,
you said, oh,
keep calling me bitch.
Me. No, see, that's the issue.
You shouldn't be doing that.
That is the issue right there.
But I definitely didn't do the no contact rule until that relationship ended because I feel like all the other previous times with different people, it was definitely like I allowed them to have access to me, and it kept falling into a thing. And I definitely did not tell everybody every time they did something wrong to me.
Right.
Because I was like, you know what? I know they're going to probably contact me in a week, and I'm going to be okay with it. Or I want them so bad
it's going to be
that it's going to be okay. And I don't want to have to deal with it. I wanted them to believe that it was a smooth ride into getting into a relationship that was like healthy or whatever. Which obviously never happened. But yeah, I think like I definitely think that the no contact rule was extreme. Like it guaranteed me success in like moving forward. Even though it was like I was cheated, I wouldn't like condone that necessarily. I still feel like I was manipulated in that relationship before the breakup so much that there maybe was a chance.
Maybe if you're amicably breaking up, maybe you don't need to block them.
No, you don't need to block them. But the no contact rule should still apply.
Yeah. And it should be respected. Like, however long, even if it was like a good breakup, you could be like, listen, I just don't think we should speak to each other for at least whatever amount of time. Or, I mean, like, are you going to be friends? Like, ever? Like,
so I'm like, I don't know.
I've never had an amicable breakup, so I don't know. Wouldn't know. But I think no contact, the only thing that probably would be like difficult is if you like literally have to speak to this person. Like, you have a child, or, I don't know, people who have pet custody and shit like that, or, what else? Like, difficult. Worked together, maybe, or something. Like, there's probably scenarios where it is difficult to do no contact, but...
I think also in that case, then the no contact rule is no contact in the scope of relationship.
Yeah.
It's more so like we're speaking, there's boundaries against this, like towards the speaking terms, I guess. No. But speaking about the relationship, not gonna happen. It should not happen.
Like, I will block you, and then it will be an issue for our work life, or our pet's life, or our child's life. So respect my boundaries, I guess. Not saying this is like solid sound advice to threaten them with blocking them, but
no.
I'm just saying, like, people need to respect boundaries, and if you want to do no contact, don't let them be like, oh my god, this was my thing. It was like, oh, now you're blocking me on this. Oh, now you deleted this. God. And it's like, it was like the constant badgering of like watching what I'm doing, or like just having access to me, and like them feeling entitled to it. And it's like, you're not entitled to shit. Literally. So don't make me feel like the bad guy for wanting to like distance you from my life. Yeah, and move on. Like, hello?
I never understood where like that, like it makes no fucking sense as to why.
I don't get the mentality of the person reaching out. Yeah.
It's literally just trying to grasp at any situation or any like slight moment that you might have a response to them. Like, because I feel like I think their brain, although that they don't know they're doing it, but they know, especially if you've been like in a manipulative
like this has worked
relationship.
Before.
Yeah, it's like if I just get under their skin a little bit to respond to me, I have their attention enough to then grab them and keep digging into a manipulation.
Let me give some examples that are kind of funny. So one of my exes, we'd broken up. And I don't even know how much like a month later, 2 months later, he sent me a photo of spoons. And he said, are any of these yours? And I was like, no. No, none of these, no, those are not my spoons. And like, to be fair, we threw a party at his house like right before breaking up, essentially. Okay, like 6 months before breaking up, we threw a big party at his house. So like, it's not that unreasonable, but do you think I really want 1 spoon back? Or even 6? What?
Keep the fucking
Keep
spoons,
the spoons,
dude.
I'm not worried about spoons right now. It was hilarious. And then like, my mom's coworker made it a joke and sent me a photo of spoons at work. And she's like, are these your spoons?
Dude.
That was a really funny one. And at that point, like, my mom had told me in my first breakup, like, you need to be no contact. Like, that's basically, you need to tell him to just stop fucking talking to you. Because it was about bullshit. And she's like, he's keeping you on, like, a little reel if he needs to reel you back in. And the second relationship, I was like, bye. Like, not talking to you. But I didn't block him because I would see there's still, like, that manipulation factor of, like, what am I gonna do if I block him? Like, is he, like, gonna be messaging me things that I need to know? Or, like, I don't know what it is. Like, or I don't want to be a bad person in this situation.
I remember you saying that a lot. Like,
yeah.
I don't want to be a bad person. That's why because we're like, dude, just fucking block him. And also, why do you keep responding? Or sometimes you wouldn't, but then like, he would keep coming and saying shit. And you were like, Logan and I kept saying, like, why don't you just block him? Like, he needs to just not have any access to you. Even knowing that it delivered and that you probably read it, probably like fed something into him. You know what I mean?
He literally told me, because I ended up on a phone call with him like months later, that after I blocked him, that sometimes the message would deliver and he'd be so happy that maybe I unblocked him. And I was like, I didn't. You're still blocked. Like, on the phone with him, I'm like, you're blocked. Still. He called me on like star 67 or whatever the fuck it is.
It's crazy that still works.
Or I don't know. Yeah, I guess probably that.
Or his
no caller
phone
ID.
Or some shit.
I don't remember. No,
anyway.
But what was the thing though that he sent me that was funny? I can't remember now. So many things.
But anyway, what were we just saying?
That they're just trying to reel you back in with messages.
No, but you kept saying, I don't want to be a bad person.
Oh yeah, I don't want to be a bad person.
And I think I understand where you were coming from at the time. And I don't think there was like a slight hope for you at all. Because I feel like you were very angry. But I think there was like a sense of like ego there where you were like, I don't, like, he's the shit person. Right. I don't want to be the one to be like you wanted to be saint, you know, and you wanted him to be the devil. And that's fine. Yeah. But I don't think that you blocking somebody changes the dynamic there. Even if you like, fuck your ego, but if you want to feed it doesn't change the status of everything, you know?
And it was the part of him telling me that, like, now you blocked me, so I'm like, absolutely. Well, now I'm a bad guy. Like, now it's setting in, like, okay, now I am a bad guy.
Then, like, think to yourself, and I'm saying not to, obviously,
we're past it.
Sam's past it, but think to yourself, if you're thinking that, like, is it bad to create boundaries that make your life happier and healthier? No. The answer is no, so don't fucking say maybe.
Yeah.
The answer is no. And that's all it is just a physical boundary or like a technological boundary where they cannot have access to you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean anything really besides that.
And he was blocked and I was happier for it.
Because I think that the part that people maybe don't take to account is that like seeing things come up often from a person that's making you angry, I think viscerally like makes you remember what you went through and why you're upset in the first place. And like if you constantly having that come up, you're really like slowing down your healing, in my opinion.
No, yeah, you are.
You're kind of backtracking every single time.
Physically taking you to that place, which isn't a healthy place to live in.
Mm-hmm.
Anger and sadness, resentment, yeah, all of it. So no contact, babe, that is the way to go. And so my thing that also has been difficult through moving on from exes is like family and friends.
What do you mean by that?
Of the ex.
Oh, yep.
Like family and friends for me, I'm just like, if I vibe with you, I'm like, we're fucking cool. Like, I enjoyed my time with you. It's not your fault that we broke up. But also I'm like, within reason, I know you're not my friend anymore because you're his friend or whatever. But then
I think there's also like the realistic expectation of like, will you actually go and hang out with this person?
I think that's fair.
You know what I mean?
And, you know, it's rough because it's like the girlfriends that I'm like, that I became friends with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, God, especially depending on how long you were with this person and how long you spent with these people. But it just almost feels like, oh, like if I were to block them or unfollow them or whatever, they'd be like, huh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But it's also like, well, Layla's throwing up outside. Love that. Yeah, I just like don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm also like, who the fuck am I? Like, I'm not hurting anyone's feelings by unfollowing them on Instagram.
Yeah.
But they also like, it's like, oh, but they had businesses and I want to support their business and like continue that because it's like, oh, that's nice. Like, I'm supportive of women in small business. Like, it's great.
You can support another woman.
I know.
You know? I think it's always like,
it's a runaround.
That's the runaround.
But especially like siblings or like moms. Those are even, they should be they're
easier.
Worse.
They should be easier.
They're worse, I know, but
because they're more connected. They're literally
precisely
directly to them.
You know what's funny, though?
What?
Is when you do unfollow someone trifling in their family, but they still be liking your stuff. I'm like, huh, you noticed I unfollowed you, didn't you? I mean, like, why are you liking my pictures?
I think if it's like their moms and
no,
stuff,
not
I
the
think
mom.
that's difficult.
It's like a cousin. I'm like,
maybe they don't care. Maybe on their end they're like, eh.
And it's all like cousins you don't follow or
and
whatever.
Just do a soft block. Get them out of your reach.
That's
Don't
true.
let them be on your end of things.
But it's kind of like an ego boost, you know? It's like, oh, that's cute. Like, you thought. No, but like cousins who never followed you, but then watch your story. Have you ever had that happen? It's like you never even interacted with them on social media. You met them a couple times.
No.
And then they're watching my story, and it's like something that you'd want to see if you were like an ex. I'm like,
maybe they're watching it from their
or it's
phone.
like the cousin's like, hey yo, look, and then it's a whole thing at a party, and they're all looking now. I'm like, y'all need to just leave me alone. Like that, I think is weird. Like if it's like seeking me out, I'm like, then I know it's a whole conversation. That's a whole fucking conversation about me, and I don't need that in my life.
Yeah, I would just block them too.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a huge part for a lot of people, like especially like the parental part of like if they had good parents that you bonded with. I think it's difficult to let that go, especially if like there's just like this kinship that you've created with them. There's also like a sense of like, oh, but like she didn't do anything or he didn't do anything. Yeah, but they fucking raised this person, you know? They're directly correlated. I think there's just should be
some distance.
A quit of access is there too.
Yeah. I think siblings is really hard for me because they're so innocent. They're so little.
Not most all of them.
No, I mean, not all. Yeah, I mean, sometimes they're like 20-year-olds or whatever. But like, even if it was like someone your age, and then you guys became like, now what? So bye, bestie.
And that I was gonna bring up the point of like, especially like in like super long-term relationships.
Yeah.
You've probably created like friendship with siblings and or friendships that are like mutual friends. How do you go about like? See, that wasn't my situation. So like. I'm genuinely wondering, like, how is it that you go and move on from that? Like, you've both like, there's literally not they were their friends first or anything, but, like, they're actually your friends together. What do you do then? Like, I'm thinking, like, what happens? I guess, you
decide. Do you see each other separately?
I think it's a separately thing. I'm thinking, okay, if the breakup was amicable, I can see how, like, you can still probably see each other at like friend functions or whatever, but, like, if it's non-amicable and, you know...
Messy is like, well, what do we do?
I think you would treat it like if a friend group had two friends who, like, had a falling out, the friend group would still be friends with both ends, but...
You just can't have anything together
can't have anything together. Until later, or maybe later when it feels like, you know,
yeah, it's messy
in the clear. But I think that's the way that you'd be like, hey, I don't want you to choose either person, but...
Or you let go of certain friendships because they just don't mean as much to you as they did to them. Or...
I think that's also another way to go about it, but I can see how that could be really difficult, like, the splitting of friends.
And sometimes, like, your friend, you realize, like, leaving a relationship, you realize, like, those friendships were out of convenience. Like, hate to say it, but, like,
yeah,
you're like, yeah, of course I still really care for them and wish them the best and have no hard feelings, but we weren't like besties. Like I wasn't going out of my way to hang out outside of these things with my partner or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but then it's like, oh, but we could have, like, the other, like, you know, that's the thoughts.
I think if you didn't, then you shouldn't.
Yeah. Like, unless it's like years from now and it's like, you know what? Oh my God. Like yeah, when something clicks, you know?
I think it's fine when it like no longer matters. But if it's still feeling like a wound when you think about that person, when you're looking at this friend or whatever, I think it's a moment of release.
Yeah. I think other than in terms of like them, not talking to them, it's just like healing through whatever the fuck happened in that relationship. And the first part is heavy on distraction, I'd say. Like I think right after a breakup, you're not like, okay,
I'm ready to heal.
Yeah, I'm ready to grow from this. It's like, I'm fucking pissed and I'm alone or I'm sad, and that's okay, and just do whatever the fuck will make you happy, because that's kind of the key, is just staying as happy as you possibly can, as much as you possibly can, and crying when you need to cry and whatever. But after that, it's all about healing and reflecting on maybe the things you did wrong, which are hard to admit, but essential in moving on with someone next. Because if you don't move on from your ex, you're just asking for all of that stuff, drama, baggage, to just move right into the next relationship. Yeah. And I'd say, like, maybe as you get older, this moving on from exes doesn't have to be so big or dramatic if you've been actively healing through each ex. Because you're also just, like, more emotionally available, mature. You're also probably picking better partners as you get older, so you're not as damaged when you come out. Not to say damaged, but like you're not as traumatized or triggered by anything on the way out. So
I think that's when you consider a breakup that comes with like a lot of drama, I guess. But I'm also thinking of people who just like, because you're saying like when people are older it gets easy, it might get easier.
I don't know.
I think there's still like, I don't think
there's another layer of it being like, well, now I'm older and now I'm never gonna find the one.
I think it's less about that though, and like also just like the breakup, like it doesn't have to be, what am I trying to explain? I don't think it necessarily gets easier because you're like healing things. I think like there's still like a layer of having to mourn like a life that you thought you were gonna have, and like a partner that was there before, instead of just like mourning, or like not even like, I think there's like different types of breakups where there's like some where you're like trying to get over all the shit that happened to you, and then there's like ones that are like, I'm just mourning the end of something, you know. And I don't think that one is like easier than the other. You know
I think just shorter maybe is what I mean then. Like it's a quicker turnaround. I get, like, I'm just thinking of your first breakup. Like, it feels like it's the end of the world, and it feels like you just have more experience, like, sadly, but you have more experience with breakups.
I get what you're saying.
And, like, understanding yourself and people. I agree with you. I do think it's hard regardless of the reason why people break up or how old you are. It's just maybe the comfort of after your first breakup knowing you will get over it and you can fall in love with someone again, whether that one ended up well or not. Like, there's just, like, this sense of comfort in knowing that you're gonna get through it.
Right.
It's like, yeah, this fucking sucked, but
I will get through it.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense when you describe it in terms of like, I think it's less about age and like
first breakup
versus like the next following ones. Yeah, for sure. Because there's like literally no recollection of like what the fuck the process is like.
The first time you go through a breakup, it's hell. It's like, actually,
I wish that on no one, but everyone has to go through it.
Well, I mean,
I guess
I almost think like everyone should go through it.
I think everyone should, for sure.
But do they all? I don't know. Some people stay together forever, I guess, huh? That's kind of a crazy thought.
Oh my
God, you don't have an ex?
Crazy.
Whoa. Do you guys not have exes? Is that a thing? Probably not if you're listening to this episode, but maybe you're trying to help a friend out. But wow.
Yeah. I definitely think what you said is super important. Like, prioritizing pleasure and happiness and like the things that are gonna make you feel free versus like isolated, because I feel like there's a lot of isolation that happens within like the breakup or moving on process.
It feels like a lot of letting go and like negative, like I can't speak to this person anymore, I can't look at this app anymore, I have to block these people. Like it feels very,
I think it's limiting. Also very isolated because you're the only one experiencing it the way that you
no, you're experiencing with this person, and that's why you want to fucking talk to them so bad.
Right.
It's so annoying. It's like...
But in general, because, you know, you can't talk to them.
Yeah.
As you shouldn't.
You're alone.
But you're alone, and you're the only one who can... Even the other person, though, like, they are not experiencing it the way that you are. And that's just, like, life in general. But, like, it feels so direct when you're going through a breakup that you're like, you can either go fucking further into that hole... or go and like literally gain energy from the rest of the people that you like have in your support system.
That aren't going through it and are happy.
And trying to find that happiness. So
I think the worst thing you can do is honestly talk to an ex about like, how are you doing?
Oh,
how are you feeling?
That's a no.
Like what do you mean? How am I feeling? Like shit.
We just broke up. Why are you talking to me?
Right. Like it's like, I do love you and that's enough. Like, regardless of how things ended, we don't need to seek validation from each other about this. Like, yes, it mattered and we're sad. Don't talk to me.
It's like, sorry, but this is the one thing you each have to go through alone.
Yeah, because if you don't, it's literally, I don't know, it's just crazy when you look from the outside, looking in at someone else going through a breakup or just thinking back to your own, and you're like, it literally was like, up here, you're like, logically, that makes no fucking sense, but emotionally, you're just like torn. Yeah, you're so torn, but just because it's difficult doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So just because you miss them doesn't mean you should get back together.
Also, we just said, like, prioritize your happiness. We're not talking about that's what would make you happy. Having sex with them or talking to them, like, that'll help you. That's not going to help. Let's just... Happiness outside of this person, for sure.
Yes, 100%. At the end of the day, the most important thing is you and moving forward. And I personally believe that you can move on from exes and, like, whether you wanted to be back with them or not, there's still going to be this, not, like, challenge per se. It doesn't have to be a challenge, but I think, like, the next relationship will bring up things about your ex, not because you're like, oh, I can't do this because of that, blah, blah, or you can't do that because of this and that, but just more so like, it could be literally the way they cook in the kitchen. I have no idea. You know, like something little like that, that'll remind you of them, or maybe you prefer doing something this way, the way they did, or they taught you something. You know, I don't know. Exes are just a part of your fucking life, and it doesn't all have to be like negative.
I see what you're saying.
Do you know what I mean? Like
I think you can take pieces of the moments that you had or the people that they were and be grateful for what they were or not, or dislike them and be like, okay, brain, that's cool that you remembered that, but I'm not going to really move forward with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think some people maybe are very like, no, I'm over my ex. Like, I don't even think about them, or I don't talk about it. It's like, that's not realistic.
I don't think that's realistic. Yeah.
We're human. And it's not in a way where, like, you should be insecure as a partner. Yeah. And be like, oh, so you think about your ex. It's like, oh my God. Don't be that person.
Don't be that. I think that's, like, also so just, like, an immature thought. Like, you're going to come across so many people. It's kind of impossible not to remember or reflect on something in general.
Or take things you liked or didn't like from someone.
I think going off of what you said of, like, you can be fully healed or, like, fully moved on, I should say, with that, with, like, some sort of, like, background on these people. I think it's also, like, though, like, in terms of, like, the so-called triggers that we all have from our exes, I want to rephrase that to, like, saying, like, those are now your triggers. Like, they're not triggers that belong to them, that they gave you. It's more so, like, these are mine now.
I have an issue with.
You know, you're responsible for them. And so moving in your next relationships, or even if, like, you're trying to heal on your own, I think that knowing that those like, you having a responsibility to heal those triggers or, like, manage those triggers.
Like, you can't.
And not blame them for them anymore. Because there's no need for it. Like, that's, like, proving the fact that you haven't moved on. And you don't want to be in an in-between spot with a new person and like still feeling stuff from a relationship that literally is dead. It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
This is your thing now, you know? I know that might feel weird to like take on and say like, this is my trigger. You can say like, this happened to me because of this.
Yeah, I think
whatever.
You can give context about why that exists.
But you can't say like, well, my ex did this and
that's why you can't.
Yeah, it's more so like, it makes me feel this way when people do this to me. Because like, it's no longer this person, but it's like, if anyone did that to you, it would create this reaction. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, reel it in, make sure that you're owning the things that you're feeling. Yeah. Because that's the only, if somebody else owns that shit and you're feeling it, that means that somebody else has control over you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want that.
It's always the scariest part of a breakup at the beginning. It's like, oh my God, like they have so much control over me right now.
Over my emotions.
Even though we're not together. Like when we were together, they really did. But now that we're broken up, I'm like,
it's like still going?
Yeah. I thought we were done. So it is rough. I'm really sorry if you're going through a breakup or even just like processing one still.
Yeah.
And you'll get there. If you haven't done no contact, babe,
start that at least.
You need
Step
to start
1.
there. Yeah.
Oh no. Also, like, there's no timeline to like moving on from an ex. I know there people say like
people who start dating after a
month
or whatever.
Yeah, like you can't be dating unless like it's been like a month or whatever or some shit. Like it's not linear. As long as you feel
it's like if your path was to get a girlfriend in a month and then heal / also traumatize your new girlfriend through that path, who am I to say that's the wrong path?
That sounded really specific.
Oh, little old me. I'm just saying, like, no, listen, there's a lot of traumatized people who should not be in a relationship quite yet.
I'm like, if you have issues with your ex, babe, please don't come and put them on me.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be hurting other people. Don't be hurting other people. I think that's the time or whatever. It's like once you feel like you won't be intentionally or even on period.
You're people, like, wait a minute.
I'm sorry. No, you know you won't be hurting people because you understand what you did wrong in the past. Truly. Mm-hmm. Period. I don't care if it took you a motherfucking day. Get on. Crack on,
babe.
God.
Anyway, again, we're sorry if you're going through this. It's a tough time, but the more that you tell yourself and like know that you're gonna be okay and move forward, and like this is literally not the end. Nothing is fucking. Everything is temporary. It's just the beginning of a new fucking thing for yourself. Sorry, that distracted me.
The cat. It's a new chapter, literally. You're opening yourself up to finding the actual love of your life, and that's exciting. And I know at first that feels just so far away and stupid to even think about, but you will get there, and you just got to focus on you. And also, don't hold any, this one I'm still working on, don't hold any really harsh negativity towards your exes. It's not good for you.
It's still a tie that you have to them, in a sense. I think, like, I don't know, when you think about like a moment that was really hard for you, and if you can like I'm not even talking about exes, but like just a moment in life where like that was really difficult for me, and you can think about it now with like, but I wouldn't be who I am without that moment. I'm really actually grateful or like loving towards like that memory, I guess, or like the person that I was in that moment.
Or just like you have so much strength from that moment now, or whatever.
Just like any positive feelings, I think then that creates such a release and like you're free from that person physically. So great. Just like make it emotionally too. There's no need to have that connection still. I think it's better to feel better about something than like, or like have a positive, what's the word, like correlation. I know it might be hard to find that, but the moment you do, you'll never, like, it's less brain power that they have over you, I guess. It's easier to be negative, so think about the positive.
So, that's a whole process, but we're moving through it, moving towards it, and Yeah, that's pretty much it. And in glowing hour, we want to talk about if your ex moved on.
Oh my god.
We're flipping the script. So now your ex has moved on. Wait a minute. Okay, see you guys there.
See you there.